Tears are falling. Darrell Brooks Jr. Well, I want to welcome you to Everything Else channel here on YouTube, everythingelsechannel.com. And I want to pick your brain, so to speak, on Darrell Brooks Jr. crying in court. Because a lot of people said that I was being heartless. Can you get over that, guys? That I was being heartless. So it's been a long day. I'm going to try this Lenny and Larry's bar. Okay, so I'm sorry to eat on camera, but I literally have eaten barely anything all day. I will be sipping Coke Zero. I apologize. You know, when I saw Darrell Brooks Jr. crying, I asked myself a couple of questions. I said, Christian, did he cry during the witness testimony? No. Did he cry when he saw the video of what he did? No. When did he cry? He cried when Dawn spoke. And when he spoke about his family, he cried a little bit. Remember when he said that there's two sides, there's pain on both sides? He cried a little bit there, cried a lot when Dawn spoke, and then cried a lot. Actually, cried the most when Dawn spoke, I think. Followed then by the sentencing. I think he cried there second as much. Third as much when he talked about the suffering of his family and someone in his family being bullied or something like that. I don't think he cried for Dr. Mary Edwards. And I don't think he cried for the roommate. And I think that's the only time he ever cried. What's up, Tequila? How's it going? So, the first thing I asked myself when he cried so much during sentencing, actually, no, he cried one other time before sentencing during closing arguments when he addressed the jury. And that got me thinking that with the exception of Dawn, now we're only talking about 5 or 6 instances, so it's not like we're talking about, dozens or anything like that, but out of the 4 or 5 times that he cried, the time that he cried the most was when his mom spoke. And I would argue that the time that he cried in front of the jury during closing arguments and the time that he cried during sentencing were ploys to get in the good graces of the jury for any kind of leniency, and then B, to get in good graces of Judge Darrell, which, I mean, sounds almost idiotic after everything that he put her through during the trial, but he did do things subconsciously to try to get Judge Darrell to like him or to hate him less. The Waukesha County Bible, okay, the WCB, put on the desk, was put on the desk strategically. I mean, of course, he has a claim to fame with Christianity with Dr. Mary Edwards, who's so concerned with spreading the good word. I mean, she would never use the trial to promote herself or the many projects that she's involved of, or her podcast or website or her cookbook. She would never do that. But I'm so sorry to be eating, guys, but I'm starving. And the thing about it is, Dr. Mary Edwards used the Bible, Christianity, to promote herself. Dr. Mary, if you see this and you want to sue me for casting you in a false light, I will face you head on in court, because I'm pretty confident you went on there at grandstand and talk about yourself. But in any event, you used the Bible to promote yourself, and Darrell used that Bible for God knows what. Seriously, God What did he use it for? Because he wasn't reading it. And I think that honestly, it was part of an end game to either win over the jury or win over the judge. Now, this is not to get an acquittal. This is just to get a little bit of leniency and maybe for them to be able to look at him. There was a police officer. If you look in the catalog here at Everything Else channel, it might be over at Sight Sounds Flavors, but if you look at Tough Witness, put Darrell Brooks, Tough Witness. There was a police officer that could not even look at him. There was a female police officer, that's what I'm talking about now, but there was also a male officer who kept looking at the jury, and Darrell made a point to chastise him and say, hey, who's talking to you here? But that wasn't about the guy not being able to look at Darrell. That was about the officer looking at the jurors for the maximum exposure. He had no problem looking at Darrell, but there was a female officer who was noticeably distraught because she was at the parade. And I think she may have tried to stop him and couldn't. And she saw him when he was driving through the crowd. And he made a point to say, well, how could you be so sure in 1 to 2 seconds? And she was pretty sure. But during the trial, she couldn't look at him. I don't think she was afraid of him. I don't think she was afraid of him at all. She was disgusted by him more than anything. She just could not stand the sight of him. With that particular type of witness, that Bible that he put on that table, maybe looking at the Bible, even the most Christian of Christians would have a hard time not wanting to, throw a beating on Darrell Brooks Jr., figuratively speaking. But maybe looking at that Bible reminded Christians of just how important forgiveness is. And not that they forgave him, but I think they could stand to look at him for a split second. I don't know what I'm saying here, guys. What's up, Phyllis? How's it going? Phyllis Gibson in the house. I don't know what I'm saying here, folks, as I often don't. But I was raised Catholic, which is a denomination of Christianity. And, they teach us forgiveness and, give the other cheek and so on and so forth, all throughout our childhood and adolescence, even into our adulthood. But this is not that, and I don't think any Christian would ever forgive Darrell Brooks Jr. I mean, I'll forgive you in heaven, Darrell, but here on earth, I don't forgive you. And maybe that makes me a bad Christian, but where I'm going at with this is that Bible was not going to get him a single vote of not guilty. It wasn't going to get him a single shred of doubt in anyone because, look, he was the one in the car. It was his mom's car. There's pictures of him everywhere, videos of him everywhere. Eyewitnesses saw him. It was him. But, I mean, I think that the goal of the Bible... And look, this video is not about the Bible that he had on there. It's the tears. Tears are falling. If anybody thought Darrell Brooks Jr. had done a Kiss cover, the rock band Kiss has a song called Tears for Fears. Tears for Fears. Yeah, or Tears for Fear. I don't know if it's, yeah. But no, he's not doing a cover of a Kiss song. I wanted to know if his tears at any point in that trial were real. Now, I will tell you, they were real when Dawn was speaking. I happen to believe that. I'm not an authority on Darrell's, crying, but I would say that was real. And there's 8 of you watching live right now. Several are coming in and out. But if you can hear me, can you hear me? Hope one of you will say, what did you guys make of Darrell Brooks Jr.'s tears when he was talking to the jury, when he was talking to the judge? I don't think they were real at all. Because he never, ever took responsibility for what he did. He never, somebody might say, what if he appealed a conviction? He couldn't apologize for something he didn't do, right? Because if you're going to appeal a conviction and you're going to hold to the world that you're innocent, you can't confess. You can't say you're sorry for something that you didn't do, right? But that wasn't it. He wasn't deflecting, taking responsibility because of a future appeal. He was doing it because he just didn't care. One thing is to not incriminate yourself, right? Even by showing empathy. Another is to mock the victims, mock the witnesses, mock law enforcement, not let the judge preside. That's not anything for a successful appeal. That's Darrell Brooks Jr. showing he had no remorse. So, to me, the tears did not come from his heart. He was not sorry for what he did. He was just trying to use the tears the same way he tried to use the Waukesha County Bible, and the same way that he tried to manipulate all the people, that he did throughout the many stages of his life. And he tried to do it in the court, and he wasn't able to. He failed miserably. He wasn't able to do it to a single person in the jury box, the judge, or the prosecution. So, and I don't think the tears worked, by the way. But I will say, the only time I think his tears were real was when he and Don, because Don was, crying profusely as well. I think those are the only times. That was the only time, I think, that he cried for real. And all the other times, I think it was staged. I think it was forced. And let me tell you something. It's hard to make yourself cry. I can do it. Can't do it like he did. I mean, he gave a, A-grade Hollywood-worthy performance. And he was able to do it at a very critical time in his life. Because although we all knew he was guilty of sin, you don't know that you're guilty till you're, found guilty, right? I mean, you're guilty, right, if you did it. But I'm just saying, you don't know what the verdict's going to be. And I don't care how open and shut that case was. Even if there was 1/900,000th chance that he would, he wanted to hear this. And the fact that he could make himself cry at such a stressful and just, just helpless, stressful, unknown, just such an important moment. And for him to be able to force himself to cry and play that part in front of a jury of people and a judge that he's pissed off the whole while, prosecutors he's pissed off the whole while, and a world that he knows is watching on social media that already hates him, he was able to make himself cry. I mean, that's tough. So, but I don't for a second think it was real. That was totally staged. Totally. So, the title of this video is not Tears for Fears. I made a mistake earlier. It's Tears Are Falling. But here's the thing. So what? I mean, even if he was sad, let's say that he was sad and he really felt bad for whatever. So what? He killed 6 people. He injured and wounded over 80, close to 80. He wreaked havoc on a city. So I should feel bad because he's crying, whether, it's crocodile tears or actual tears. I mean, even if it is real, who cares? So what? I should feel sorry for him? Am I being too hard on him? Seriously? I don't know about you, but whether they were real or not, I could care less. But I actually would. Well, I do care because I want to know. Obviously, I'm making a video about it. And I've got, 40 people that have come through. They care too. But I don't know. I think I care more because I don't think I could get duped. And I feel like he didn't dupe me, but I don't know. to me, I think the reason why, everybody's got a reason for why they're obsessed with this trial. I mean, look, guys, come on. If you don't want to admit that you're obsessed with this trial, then, don't know what to tell you. But you're watching me talk about the trial, and you're here because you want to talk about the trial. I mean, I think we're obsessed with the trial. But the reason we're obsessed with the trial, I think, at least for me, there's plenty of outlandishness, ridiculousness that he was allowed to get away with. But really, when it comes down to it, is the fact that he just didn't have any remorse. And you feel like you're looking evil in the face. Diane Duncan, he was crying for himself. He knew he was at the end of the line. No more chances. I agree, Diane, 100% with you. I feel that maybe that's why the crying was, so intriguing to some of us, because we had really come to the conclusion. I don't like talking for other people. I've never liked that. That's why politics is not for me. But I think a lot of us came to the consensus that he was the epitome of evil, spineless, heartless, ice in his veins. And then to see him cry, I think that kind of, that's kind of like it's kind of a problem for us that think this guy's heartless and spineless, because crying is not something that a heartless, spineless person does unless it's with an agenda. And so we were so used to him being hostile, toxic, angry. To see him cry, I think, was interesting. But like I said, I feel that a lot of that crying was either staged and rehearsed. You know what I mean? And there's a difference. Stage crying is just making yourself cry, but actually practicing it for the maximum, desired reaction, that takes time. So you got to think to yourself, is this something that he was good at all his life, or maybe as a child, and it just, kept, improving as he went into adulthood? Or do you think maybe the same way a basketball player will shoot layups till the sun comes down, or a football player will run, the field? You think Darrell was, instead of doing legal research, or maybe after doing legal research, practicing on ways to make him cry? Could you imagine if he was, in his cell there, making himself cry and just, getting just right? Like, because a lot of it is mental cues, right? So, sad moments, sad memories, the loss of a loved one, whatever. And you think about enough of them. I mean, I'm not an expert at making myself cry, but I think that would be what you would need, right? And it's crazy to me, but he is such a psychopath. He's not insane, but he's such a psychopath. I could see him doing that. I could see him, like Rocky Balboa punching the bag. I could see him making himself cry in his cell. All right, that time I was able to make myself cry in 2 minutes. I got to get that down to 90 seconds. I could see that. Could you see that? In any event, tears are falling. Darrell Brooks Jr. at the closing arguments, at the sentencing, with Dawn, and at another time during the trial, talking about the harassment his family was undergoing. May have cried 1, 2, 3, or 4 more times, maybe 5 more times. What do you make of Darrell Brooks Jr.'s tears during the trial? As always, guys, thanks so much for stopping by. I appreciate all of you. I hope that you please subscribe to the Everything Else channel. Tell your friends about it. All they got to do is type in everythingelseChannel.com, hit enter. It'll bring us to the channel right here. And also, guys, if you like this video at any point in time, and thank you to the 5 of you that have already thumbed up, please, guys, smash those like buttons, leave comments down below, and I look forward to seeing you guys for the next one here at everythingelseChannel.com. Also, be sure to head on over to Sight Sounds Flavors on YouTube as well, and like, comment, and subscribe there too. Peace.